morning and welcome to S News at 5. Today, our on-the-scene reporter, Sophie Werrett, has a very prestigious guest with her in England. The first person to be made an honorary citizen of the United States since Marquis de Lafayette, and the only Prime Minister ever to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in Literature, Winston Churchill. Sophie, are you with us?
I sure am. I'm Sophie Werrett, coming to you live from London, England, and here with me is the European legend, Mr. Winston Churchill. Mr. Churchill, it's nice to have you on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Can you tell me and everyone at home what your childhood was like?
Well, I was born to an aristocratic family in 1874 in Woodstock, England. And I was the grandson of the 7th Duke of Marlborough.
That must have been exciting for you.
Yes, it was. I lived most of my youth in Dublin, Ireland until I was 6.
And is that where you became interested in the military?
Well, I loved watching military parades go by my house in Dublin, but I didn't get that interested into it until I went to the Harrow School in 1888.
And is Harrow School a private school? You must have been a pretty smart kid.
No, actually I did very poorly in the first two schools I went to as a child. That is, until I went to Harrow, which was a boarding school in London. Not 2 weeks in, I enrolled in Harrow Rifle Corps, which sent me to a course in the military center.
I had no idea you got into the military so early. It must be your true calling.
Not exactly. It took me 3 tries to pass the British Royal Military exam. But I still love it.
Well, we're all glad you got in, or else you wouldn't be here. Can you tell me a little about your parents?
My mother, Jenny Jerome, she was an American socialite. And my father, the 3rd son of the 7th Duke of Marlborough, was Lord Randolph Churchill, a politician. I've been told I take after my father quite a lot. But really, growing up, my parents didn't play a major role in my childhood. Mostly they relied on nannies, and the most of which I became fairly fond of, especially Elizabeth Everest.
That's a shame. Well, anyway, I was told you have a speech impediment. Is that true?
Well, you see, several years ago you would have been correct. I had a lisp. But as you can tell now, my impediment is of no hindrance.
Glad to hear that. And now you're a fantastic public speaker.
Thanks so much. It took a lot of practice and perseverance to overcome it.
So now we know that you went to the British Royal Military College, but what did your military career look like after that?
Despite my previous bad grades, I still graduated 20th out of my 130 in my class. I wanted desperately to be in a battle, and once I got my wish, I proved to be a great fighter. While in the military, I wrote an article for a newspaper, which helped me establish a reputation for my political career.
Sounds like you were quite the young soldier. Can you tell me a little about your dilemma in South Africa?
I assumed the job for the Morning Post as a war correspondent covering the Boer War in South Africa. I accompanied a scouting mission on an armored train. It was ambushed by Boer forces. I was captured and a prisoner of war in Pretoria. 2 weeks after my capturing, I scaled the wall and escaped unscathed. I was wanted dead or alive, but I managed to travel 300 miles to current-day Mozambique on supply trains with the help of some British supporters.
That's amazing. You truly are a war hero.
I definitely was when I returned, because I documented all the events that happened during my capture and escape. People definitely had a good idea of what I did.
Well, now we know that you were an accomplished soldier and writer. But can you tell us a little bit about your political career?
After the incident in South Africa, I was elected to Parliament as a Conservative Vice President, but I later joined the Liberal Party.
So did you stay in politics for the rest of your career?
No. In 1915, I actually resigned to join the military once more. Then after the end of the First World War, I was elected Secretary of State for War and Air. For about 15 years after that, I switched between a multitude of other political positions until 1939, when the Great Britain declared war on Germany. Then I was elected the First Lord of the Admiralty.
Sounds like you had a lot of experience in government.
Yes, I certainly did. And a year after that, I was made Prime Minister, and I led my country through the Battle of Britain and the German Blitz, which were very difficult times for my people. This year, I resigned as Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Churchill, it was an honor speaking with you today.
Thank you. It's been fun.
That's it for our on-the-scene interview. Back to you, Sophie.
Thanks, Sophie. I'm Sophie Merritt, telling you to go back to bed.
Bum bum bueno. Bum bum bueno. Bum bum bum.